Hey guys, in this video I'll be analyzing Fur Elise by Beethoven. I'm sure it's a tune that we're all familiar with. If not, you can look it up or try sight singing it from this. This was composed in 1810, which falls between the end of the classical era and the beginning of the romantic era. Music begins to become more personal to composers, and I think that what he's trying to do here, since he's composing it for someone named Elise. This piece begins with a half-step melody with lots of accidentals, which pops up many times throughout the piece. Between measures 8, B, and 9, we have a modulation. We know this is the case because it makes more sense to say we're going from a 1, 5, 6 in C major rather than a 3, 7, 1 in A minor. Measure 11 introduces a pivot chord. We could interpret this as either a 6th chord in C major or a 1 in A minor. Our second modulation comes in measure 22B, which happens suddenly. In the first half of this measure, we're starting out in A minor. It's a 1 chord. But then it jumps to a 5-7 chord in F major, and we know this is the case because of this B flat here, which F major has. And measure 27 has a chromatic passing note. Measure 29 is a good spot to say that we're going back to C major because we have just a regular B here, which means that we can't be in F major anymore. In measures 30 and 32, we have the melody bouncing back and forth between a G and a rising lower note. These Gs are called pedal tones because they don't necessarily follow the chord tones. Now let's compare measures 32 and 34. They're approached by the same measures before it. However, 34 has a G sharp in it instead of a G, which means I'd like to say that we are back in A minor. This is the 5 chord of A minor. However, it's not a dominant 5 chord, but a major 7th chord, and that's because we have this D sharp here. This makes this chord an E, G sharp, B, and D sharp chord, which is a major 7th chord. And notice how when we modulate into A minor, we roll back into some familiar looking melody that we've seen at the beginning of the piece. And that's how you know we are back into another section A of this piece. Now let's skip over to measure 60 to find a fully diminished 7th chord with an E at the base. This resolves to a 4 chord in A minor in the next measure. Now E and B flat form a tritone pair, and they resolve inward to the F and A, while the G and the C sharp form another tritone pair. They resolve outwards into the D and the F. Measures 62 and 70 are approached in the same way. They both have the same measure before it. One goes to a 7 chord while the other goes to a 4 chord in A minor. In measure 70, I want to say that we are modulating to B flat major, where the next 4 chords are 3, 1, 4, and 1. Because of this G sharp in measure 74, we know that we're back in A minor, which could only mean that we are back at the beginning. Now that we know the structure of the song, I'll revisit this recurring melody. This half-step melody occurs 6 times throughout section A, and it doesn't appear again until the end of section B, which leads into another section A of the song. And it doesn't appear until the end of section C, where he ends with the same melody, which has a nice lead-in due to these triplets here. After that, we have another section A. So this half-step melody is a recurring theme throughout the A section. It signifies a direction towards the norm of the song that is presented in the beginning and used at the ends of the B and C sections in order to tell the listener, hey, we're going back to what you're already familiar with. That is my analysis of this piece. I will see you next time.